Hi. The book is called HTFN for a reason. There are things that have happened in the legal world that are just totally pure Nazi. This chapter, chapter 19, is called Equal Rights. A man will never know the pain of childbirth. The woman chose to become pregnant. A woman will never know the pain of false paternity charges. The man did not choose to be victimized. The height of all feminazi arrogance and crime against completely innocent men is that of the charge of paternity when DNA evidence or other evidence conclusively proves that a man is not the father of a child. This crime has never been committed against me, but I have witnessed the damage that it has caused not only to men but to children as well. The crime is simple. Men are charged with the responsibility to give money to a woman who has a child that is clearly not his. Only the most evil person or group would conceive of an idea such as this. How could slavery be tolerated in the modern world? To be clear, let's define slavery. Slavery is a state or condition of being involuntarily forced to work for the benefit of another, the benefit of that work becoming the property of the enslaver without gratitude, as if by right. The reason that slavery is not generally applied to paternity fraud is because traditional slavery is a condition where the above definition applies 24 hours a day, every day. In this case, the slavery is the same, but may not encompass the entire life of the slave. Believe it or not, feminazi policy in this case has created something radically new: the part-time slave. Though the slavery is part-time, during that time it is still slavery. The interesting thing about the crime of false paternity charges is that the perpetrators are virtually never held accountable for the crime. Why is that? Also, the crime can only be committed by women. There are statistics that show the percentage of paternity that is erroneously charged to men. I will not select a specific source of these statistics because each source is arguable and there is no point in sidetracking with such an argument. The fact is, false paternity charges are common. Like rape and murder, even one is too many, especially because we now have the means of unimpeachable proof. We have DNA to prove paternity. So why do we still have men paying women who do not have any claim to that money? Hotsy-totsy feminazis. That's why. In the book, this is in bold type. Charging a man with the responsibility for a child that is not his is a criminal act of domestic violence perpetrated upon him by the court. It is that simple. It is that shameful. To me, no court that engages in this type of slave mastering has any credibility at all. In the world of court reform, by the thousands of women in literally hundreds of legislation committees nationwide, I have never heard of one that has addressed this issue. False paternity is obviously unfair. False paternity is obviously an act of domestic violence. Why is it never addressed? I feel that until women cry out to stop the unfair practice of courts awarding money to women from unrelated men, they have no right to cry out about anything. Speaking of rights, I would like to make my position on pregnancy very clear. I often hear women say, a man has to pay a woman who has become pregnant because he should have kept it in his pants. Well, I imagine that in that case he wishes he had. But let's take a serious look at who is responsible for pregnancy. Also, doesn't it stand to reason that a woman could be charged with not keeping it in her pants? Why is this keeping it in your pants a crime for him, but not for her? A woman has a right to choose. How many times have you heard that statement? Okay, let's agree. Does a man have a right to choose? No. Well then, if he has no right to choose, he has no responsibility either. You can't be held responsible for something in which you had no choice. He chose to have sex. He did not choose to have a baby. That choice is solely the woman's. The woman is in charge. Also, another common quote: the man is a bad father. The woman chose that man to be the father. Whose responsibility was that decision? It was the woman's. Most men will have sex with most women. In the rare case where she can't have one particular man, she can easily have another. Most men are quite ready for the opportunity when a woman is eager for sex, and they take her up on the offer. It may be simple to realize that in the heterosexual community, there are virtually no male prostitutes. Women have men pretty much on demand. A woman says, "Would you like to have sex?" A woman does not say, "Would you like to have a baby?" When the eager woman and the lucky man engage in sex, the woman has more than 20 forms of birth control available to her, both before and even after the event. She also knows her cycle. There is no morning after pill for men. Men basically have one form of marginally effective birth control that basically ruins the rare experience for him. To select this as the do-all, end-all answer for controlling pregnancy by the intelligent woman is bizarre. Remember, it is she who basically is in control of whether a sex act takes place. She is always the shot caller for consensual sex. Otherwise, the event is rape. I personally was entrapped by a woman who imposed a pregnancy upon me despite her promise not to. That resulting daughter, my lovely, sweet, perfect little Maeve, was lovingly welcomed into my life as the blessing that she is. The pregnancy that brought her to me was the selfish act of a diabolical woman. Harsh? Sorry, it's true. Pregnancy is not unwanted by women. But let's say that upon changing her mind, a pregnancy becomes unwanted. A woman has the options of having an abortion or delivering the baby and putting it up for adoption. The man has no option. He is at the mercy of an enslaver. What about the man's right to choose? I feel that until women cry out to stop the unfair practice of only women having the right to choose, they have no right to cry out about anything. And they certainly have no right to enslave a man, ever. I know it's tough. I know it flies in the face of feminazi tradition. I know fairness is hard to accept, but I'm just making an obvious case for equal rights. Thanks again. I'm Fred Satilli. The book is Hotsy Totsy Feminazi. I'll be back with chapter 20, which is civil rights. Thank you.